Let me welcome my guest on the show tonight. Greg Swenson joins us. He's a political strategist and China analyst joining us at the moment. Greg, good evening. Welcome to WION. I want to start by asking you, when John Ratcliffe, who's now the CIA director, and the 2021 report by the National Intelligence Council, or the NIC, has already stated that there has been no interference by Beijing in the 2020 elections, what makes the US president say this now?
Well, my guess is the president has access to documents that those people did not have access to at the time. And remember, part of the argument is that the intelligence agencies were trying to hide that evidence. And so, of course, we didn't know about it in 2021. And that it doesn't surprise me that things are coming out now that reflect not only the interference, but more importantly, the cover-up by the state actors in terms of the FBI and the CIA.
All right. Greg, as you say that, a lot of critics of Donald Trump say that, look, this has to do with the midterm elections that are coming up. The fact that Republicans fear they will be losing this. This is also to do with the Save America Act that Donald Trump wants to get passed, which requires people to show their photo voter ID. All of these concerns by critics have been coming in, that this is not really just about China. It's about a lot of domestic considerations, whether it's the midterm election, the Save America Act, or just a distractionary tactic from the Iran war narrative that Donald Trump is now saying all of these things against China.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot in that question, but I think that, look, the president, you're right, it is about the midterms. I think the president wants to ensure that voters have confidence that their votes will actually count and that they're not being diluted by excess mail-in ballots or so-called ballot harvesting. So yeah, this is very much about the midterms, and I think that the timing has nothing to do with Iran. He can't really wait much longer because it's 3.5 months away until the midterms. So I think it's important to try to reinforce some confidence in the elections. And remember, there's some important context here, and this is why I'm waiting to see the documentation. And it wouldn't surprise me if there was a massive cover-up, because remember, the CIA and the FBI were involved in both the Russia collusion hoax in 2015 and 16, or 16 and 17, which was initiated by the Hillary Clinton campaign and then supported by the Obama White House in an effort to really ruin President Trump's first term. And then secondly, you had the Hunter Biden laptop scam in 2020, which was election interference. The FBI and CIA both said this was Russian disinformation, and then we found out months later after the election that in fact it was true. And what's really notable is the FBI had the laptop for a year before the election. They knew it, and they basically covered it up. So that's some context that's important. So people are very distrustful right now because of what happened in both 16 and 20.
Greg, what would you say then to those Republicans within the party who are saying that, look, 2020 is a thing of past. You have to move on. Yeah. Donald Trump has to move on from that event. A lot has been said, a lot has been done in that context. Now you have to focus on bread and butter issues. The people are suffering from cost of living crisis. They have a lot at stake as far as, the markets are concerned, the economy is concerned. Why isn't the president talking about that?
Well, there's merit to that argument for sure. I mean, I think focusing on the pocket, basically the pocketbook issues, the bread and butter issues, the kitchen table issues. Yeah, that's something that's important. However, I think he's using this more recent revelation about 2020 to emphasize the need for the Save America Act, as you pointed out. So that's definitely part of the formula here. He wants that act passed so, again, Americans can have more confidence. The idea of voter ID is polling at 80%. And so this is another so-called 80-20 issue where it's disappointing to see that the politicians are blocking some legislation that 80% of the country supports. It's really ludicrous at this point.
All right. I'm going to leave it there. Greg, thanks very much for joining us. Let's wait and see what happens next. And of course, in the midterm elections, thanks very much at the moment.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.